आप चुप रहो।
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi. I have 8:29 on my clock for Pacific, so we're going to give folks another couple of minutes to join in. I'm going to face mute one quick second and shut my door, so I will be right back.
Hey, I'm sorry about last week. So we did a quick sound check. Everything is fine. I'm gonna disappear and start, and we are live in about 5 seconds. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, shoot. Then I'm just going to go do this really fast.
No worries. I'll cut out the beginning.
You don't need to. You don't need to see
I
the
can
other
go
members
on the
of the
back end
household.
and just cut out the first couple of minutes. Okay. So I'll cut this out. All right.
Oh,
We're
okay.
live.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Okay, cool. All right. Let me, hey, Sylvan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And good evening, Shabam. And good late afternoon, Xander. This is good. We've got folks at all different points of their day today. Cool. Okay, so if y'all could do a big favor for me and add your name to the attendance list on the agenda. I'm gonna just post the agenda in the chat channel right now. That would be super awesome. Cool beans. And then we'll go ahead and get started with our Friends of Add-ons for this week. So we were looking at the patches that got uplifted into Firefox 63, and it was a huge boost for web extensions. This release, we had, I think, 111 patches land in 63. More than 25% of them were contributed by community contributors, which is amazing. Oriole single-handedly made multi-tab selection happen, which was perfect timing because there's now going to be user interface for users to do a lot of things with multi-select tabs. We had a couple of folks come in and get some good first bugs landed into 63. So we had a couple of improvements to the ecosystem and to the behavior of the web extension APIs. And then separately, we just had some new APIs land and hopefully some better improvements in a lot of areas. So thank you to our 9 community members who contributed code to Firefox 63 through web extensions. It was super awesome to see, and we're super grateful. I think we've got some good stuff cooking. I had a couple things noted for some discussions and updates. One is just kind of a general announcement for folks who've reached out regarding internships for 2019. So there was, let me back up just a second. So we have a couple of different avenues for creating internship opportunities. There's our university internships, which run in the summers, and that's kind of spearheaded by our recruiting team. We have outreachy internships, which happen twice a year in a similar vein to Google Summer of Code. We have the opportunity to participate in Google Summer of Code and outreachy. And I think that those are, generally speaking, the main formal paid internship pathways in. So at this time, we do not have any university intern slots slated for 2019. for AMO or for the Web Extensions API. We're still kind of talking through what potential outreachy projects might look like for some of those areas. It doesn't look like we're going to have any outreachy intern spots open for this current round that's coming up for winter. But I know there's a couple of projects that the Web Extensions team is interested in getting some outside help on. Things like delivering performance metrics, building out a couple of other APIs that would help developers, some stuff like that. So it's possible that we'll be seeing a little bit more of that in 2019. So that's the update. I would just say that if you were really interested, did everybody mute really fast? Thank you. Sorry, that was, that's a good morning wake-up call. The coffee is still settling. Yeah, muting would be super helpful. Thank you. Yep, we're still. Yeah, beep is right. Thanks, Sander. So if you were really gung-ho on 2019 internships, let us know. We can talk to you about other ways that you might be able to get involved. Not sure that there's going to be that there would be payment at the end of that, but we could probably carve out some projects if you're interested in doing a little bit of resume building and getting a little bit more involved with the team. All right, the next check-in is about MozFest. So MozFest session proposals have been decided as of yesterday. So they just finished going through the different proposals and accepting which ones are going to be there. Trishul, one of our community members, is going to be giving a session about improving your browsing experience through extensions, which is going to be a great user-facing session that's going to be, I believe, browser agnostic. So this is going to be able to kind of serve all attendees at MozFest and help them, offer a real hands-on participatory experience for how they can customize their browsing experience, which is super awesome. So if you're on coming to MozFest this year, I would totally recommend checking out Trishul's session. We're still waiting to see if some design sessions get in, but right now that looks like it's going to be the big one repping the add-ons group at MozFest. In other news, the MozFest sessions this year look rad. They look awesome. So I think it's going to be a really great experience for everyone who's going to be able to go. Any questions about internships or MozFest? All right, sweet. Okay, so moving on. We started seeing a couple of folks really struggling with contributing to the Web Extensions Good First Bugs. So I talked to Rob Wu and Luca Greco, who are two of our super amazing mentors on the Web Extensions engineering team. And we've created kind of what we hope is a more customized shortcut to getting started, given that there kind of are no shortcuts to contributing to Firefox. What we did is we kind of took a survey we surveyed the landscape of contributors who were just coming in to fix a Web Extensions Good First bug, and we started taking a look at like some common areas where people were struggling with getting started. And for a lot of folks, the biggest problem was getting their developer environment set up and then finding the code that they needed to fix. And then as they got further down the line, there were a couple surprises with having to build test units and stuff like that. So we wanted to kind of set a couple of more like clear expectations on folks about what the journey would look like and what they could do to kind of and how they could at least get started and get over that initial hump of like, oh my God, like, how do I even start this? So we have this guide published on the wiki. I've changed the onboarding flow for Web Extensions Good First Bug contributors through our contribute wiki and also from our contribute/code wiki. So we're going to start funneling people to this document, and we're going to see if that can kind of help smooth over some of those initial bumps. So what I would ask is all right, I'm going to start muting folks just because that sound is really freaking me out. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So if you want to say something, please feel free to say something in the chat, and I'll make sure that you're unmuted. Yeah, so if you're interested in trying a Web Extensions Good First Bug, or if you know anyone who's trying a Web Extensions Good First Bug and they're having this is their first time contributing to Firefox, please send them over to that wiki and see if that helps. We're just looking to make a better experience for everyone. And the next thing is I want to talk a little bit about static themes, which is the new a new framework for theming on Firefox that's a little bit more developer friendly. And it also uses the Web Extensions API, which is some pretty cool stuff. So that's been in a soft launch for a couple of weeks now. So through the soft launch, the way that you can play with it is to go in and say that you want to create a new extension, and then you have a separate flow that takes you to themes. One of the reasons why we've held officially launching it is because once this launches, our extensions Personas Plus breaks. So Personas Plus currently has 113,000 users, and we're hoping to avoid breaking it on them without giving them prior notice. So there is a test pilot experiment called Firefox Color right now that helps people make custom themes. So we're hoping that if we can add a couple more features to Firefox Color, what we can do is signal to Personas Plus users and ask them to switch over to Firefox Color to meet some of the reasons why they were using Personas Plus in the first place, which the biggest factor we think, or like one of the biggest features for Personas Plus that people really enjoy, is creating their own themes and just having their themes available for them on their own browser and not submitting them to AMO and going through the AMO approval process and sharing with other people. So Firefox Color folks right now are looking at implementing that, and then it looks like we might be getting ready to launch. But what I want to do in this meeting, because we have Jorge in the room, is just check in with him about that plan and get his perspective on this, and just check in on the timeline.
Yeah, so the current plan is to do the announcement and launch next week. That depends on how things progress with Color. So Personas Plus is not going to break when we launch, but we're not going to allow submitting new lightweight themes when we launch. So that's when we kind of start forcing theme designers to use like the new system, and that does mean that they should be using Color instead of Personas Plus, because it becomes kind of useless. So yeah, we're just waiting for Color to be kind of on par with Personas Plus, and that doesn't, like, there's some development going on, but like the main blocker right now is just setting up a page on AMO for it. So submitting it to AMO and getting it listed, and the people working on it just want to fix a few things before they do that. But as far as I know, everything's on track for next week. Yeah, that's the main difference. Once we launch, all theme submissions will go through the new submission flow. People who use the lightweight theme wizard now will have a new wizard for the new type of themes that should look very familiar. Should have pretty much the same options. Yeah, also people who want to have private themes, they can still do that. They can submit them as unlisted, like we do now with extensions, which granted is more complicated than just having it loaded locally by your extension, but it's an option they have, and it does give them a bit more flexibility about being able to like distribute it to other people and such. And yeah, that's where we are right now.
That's super good to know. I didn't know that people were going to be able to create unlisted themes. So that's actually really great. Maybe we can update this stuff in Personas Plus. let's see. Do we have any questions about static themes or onboarding to web extensions good first bugs? If you just want to raise your hand, I'll unmute you. Otherwise, give me the OK sign. Oh, okay. So Sylvan asks, I guess, so he asked, I guess there will only be a content review to do on those, no CSS code review, if I understand properly. I'm going to say no. So we have our theme reviewers who have some theme review guidelines. Well, actually, that's a good question. So our current current lightweight themes don't have CSS. It's just the image. And our two theme reviewers kind of take care of all of that. We have some criteria for like what gets rejected. Usually stuff that is, we have a couple of quality housekeeping items that we take a look at, but largely we reject based on the acceptable use policy. Jorge, do we need to do CSS review?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, static themes are a bit more complex, but the preview image should reflect how it looks. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to break the interface with the APIs that static themes use right now. So, so I don't expect that to be a problem. But even if it did, the preview image should reflect that. So theme reviewers don't really need to look into the code to figure out if a theme is doing something wrong, whatever that could be. So no, the plan is not to make reviews more complicated for themes.
Excellent. I love hearing that. And then dynamic themes still continue to go through the extensions flow, so those get picked up by the AMO reviewers. Yeah. Xander has a question. He says, what about current complete themes? If ported, will they become add-ons or will they fall under the new theme thing?
I have bad news for you. Did he drop? Or I know he's still here.
He's still there. He's still there.
Yeah, no, there's no path forward for complete themes. I'm sorry to say that. There's active development on the themes API so that it's more powerful and covers more of the browser Chrome, but it's always going to be very limited in terms of what it can do. We're trying to be very careful so that we don't introduce things that could break the UI. Same point as previously when talking about reviews, we don't want it to be possible for that to happen. So it would always be more limited. Like it's going to be way better than lightweight themes, but it's not going to be what complete themes are. So yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath on anything that replaces complete themes in any meaningful way. And yeah, the current complete themes are going to be disabled with all the legacy extensions in Q4. And yeah, I don't really have any good news in that front.
I have a follow-up question. So I saw that the NTIM's themes experiment API landed in 63 for nightly and beta users. And it's never going to go in release, and it's currently held behind a pref. If somebody was going to port their complete theme to this new themes experiment and redo all of the Firefox CSS elements to their own style, is that going to show? That'll still show up as an extension, right?
I think they show up as experiments in the add-ons manager. I could be wrong, but I do think that they have like a separate panel. Sorry if you can hear the noise, by the way. Yeah, I think they have a separate panel, but yeah, they might show up as extensions. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, regardless, we're not going to accept them on AMO. There's also like web extensions experiments that we don't accept on AMO either. So those would be limited for people who are just kind of experimenting on their own and not for distribution.
Okay, good to know. side note, I think the themes experiment API looks pretty cool. So sorry you can't be on AMO, but I hope you have a lot of fun and maybe self-distribute it. Yeah, cool. Okay, are there any other questions about themes? All right, rad. Okay, and then lastly, I wanted to give everybody an update about our developer launchpad project. So earlier in this year, one of our bets for increasing developer engagement and to kind of entice some Chrome users to start developing for Firefox, we had this idea that one of the barriers to entry was that documentation about extensions is held in multiple different places, and people have a hard time kind of consolidating all of that information. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to build kind of this new site that we're currently calling the Developer Launchpad, where basically we would be able to kind of like, it would be a one-stop shop for developers to get documentation and information about all sorts of things, like, you know, how to get help from the community, learn more about the APIs, learn about upcoming APIs, get the basics of how to build an extension, and then even learn a little bit more about the AMO workflow, since that's information that MDN would really rather prefer that we host elsewhere than where it currently is. So a couple weeks ago, we started working with a design firm called Turtle Inc. They're based in Vancouver, Canada, and we just had a really great conversation with them a couple days ago about what kind of like a V1 landing page is going to look like. So I'm really excited to say that I think we'll have something to be able to launch in late November / early December if things go according to schedule. So this first stage is really just going to be like a landing page that's going to help point people to various pieces of information. V2, or the second stage, which is going to happen in 2019, is building out the rest of the site and actually starting to migrate content from MDN and the wiki onto this site. So I just wanted to give a quick update about that. It's been kind of fun because when we've been talking a lot about like what's the journey for people who want to build an extension who have never done it before, we're able to kind of reference the Web Extensions Activate campaign that was pioneered by Santosh Vijwa and Trishul last year and has been stewarded really excellently this year by Shivam and others. So I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who kind of helped find resources for that or built out tutorials or kind of like had to think critically about like, what is the actual step for getting everything going? Because that's been super helpful for us when we're creating this site. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Sylvan has a question, which is, so the Launchpad is an MDN-like information website that would contain both documentation that MDN doesn't want to host or maintain. Yeah, so it's going to sort of be like MDN. We had talked about actually setting up our own instance of MDN to do this. I think it might be a little bit more, parts of it are going to be a little bit more marketing than MDN currently is. Just to try to like explain the benefits of extensions and like what extensions are all about and help get some people, some new developers interested in getting more involved with that. I think there's still a chance that the actual API information, which should be browser agnostic, might continue to live on MDN after we build out the site. I think we're still trying to negotiate that right now. But a lot of the stuff, but yeah, I think a lot of the content that you currently see on MDN that's specific to Firefox, you're going to see that show up in a very similar form on the new developer launchpad. So stuff like the review policies, etc. Siobhan asks, is there any link to track the upcoming website GitHub repo link? Not yet. Not yet. We're not quite at that stage yet. We're currently doing some preliminary reviews. I think next week we're going to be taking a look at some early wireframes. So once we have some of that stuff to share out with the community, like when we're kind of in a better place to get some feedback from folks, we'll do that. We also have some time set aside in I think early November, but possibly late October for some user testing. So if you're interested in doing some user testing on this, I will be happy to hook you up with that. I would definitely love some feedback from people in this group to take a look and see what information is there and what information isn't there. And then Sylvan asks, is there any dev or staging URL to see what it, yeah. Once there is, definitely we'll let you know. Yeah, we will be hosted on, so this will be hosted on GitHub. So Turtle is gonna help us build out the site so that we can manage it pretty easily through GitHub. So it's gonna run on a Jekyll framework. We've got some folks from Ops who are gonna help us prop it up and make sure that everything builds correctly. But yeah, we'll be able to continue updating content on it through GitHub pull requests. So hopefully some of the folks who have been really contributing to documentation work on MDN will come over to our repo and help us manage that in the future. These are good questions. All right, is there any other questions from folks? I'll take everybody off mute. Anything that anyone wants to share about how things are going? All right. Andreas is out on PTO right now, so hopefully we'll get some updates at our next meeting about applications for the AMO extension reviewer program. Right now he's somewhere sunny and taking a lot of beach pictures. So he'll be back in a couple of days and we can get an update from him. Otherwise, this has been a good meeting. Thanks everybody for joining today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you around. Bye, everybody.